Good morning, happy Monday. Good morning, Stacking. Talking. Tough today. I don't need that open. You're fine. How are you doing? How was your weekend? Let's go ahead and get this opened up. And let's see where we are. I'm big time out of... Oh, I am. Come on, camera. I have my lights on and everything. Okay, so last time... yeah, I'm in witness protection. Yeah, I'm in an interview right now, apparently. Let's see if I can fix this. Last time to fix it, I turned off autofocus. Now I'm gonna turn it... Oh wait, is there no focus again? Camera control. Oh, autofocus is on, so turn it off again. Okay, it's off. That's good. Turn it on, autofocus. Cool. So turning it off is the key to get it to focus correctly. Who knows? I don't really understand when it like starts breaking on its own like that. Seems a bit odd. All right, so to continue where we left off, Lord Mist, hello, good morning. To continue where we left off, we have this implement a life system so I can be hit n times before a game is over. So that's clearly what I want to do. Right now I die pretty quickly, and then it's like rather sudden. So there's less of a chance for people to get in their shots at me. Now, it could be argued that the reason why I'm implementing this is because I'm terrible at playing these type of games, and that would be exactly right. So I've got to give myself some. I got to give myself some. I don't know, help with that. If we come to our main library here, this is the line of code. So here we see, okay, the player hit an object. And so we immediately just send the message, game is over. And then there we go. What about a command that spawns a small shield above you for a short time? That could be interesting. Are you talking about like a chat command? Yeah, so like to help out too. Maybe. Right now I'm thinking giving myself 3 lives to begin with. Might be really helpful. So if we mark that this is where we got hit, so lose a life. If we do this, and then at the end, this is the update, right? So the end of this loop, check our lives left. If we have 0, then the game is over. So that's pretty much what I want to do here. Or maybe after a given amount of weapons have been dropped, a shield spawns for a few seconds. Potentially, I was thinking about like actually maybe making like a heart drop that could give me an extra life. That could be interesting. And then that would be like I still have to go navigate over to it and collect it, but it would allow you to help me. So and then we do all this stuff if the game is over. And we only want to do that if... Yeah. Okay. Nice idea, but I feel like if the chat can also help you, then it's just gonna go on forever. Yes, potentially. But no, it can't go on forever because there's a, I have a timer. So here, let's go into the game and run it exactly as it is right now. So I have this timer right here that gives, like, it's 2 minutes right now. And at the end of the 2 minutes, if it reaches the bottom, I win. So it's mainly just me avoiding these for 2 minutes. Unless I, die like that. That's cool. 2 minutes both feels like not a long time and a huge amount of time when I'm playing that. So that's my idea of like giving myself 3 lives during those 2 minutes. So if we come up here for our game state, we'll do lives left. This is a U8. We start with 0. We have this entire thing in update where we're checking to see if we have a winning player. And if we do, then we're done. We're probably going to want to switch over to like having winning players. And then everybody else too. So like all the 3 people who hit me. Did I set myself to be 0 by default? That seems like a terrible idea. I want that to be a 3. Yeah. You're right, Stacking. I messed that up. It's like I start dead. Oh, game's over. Okay, we got hit, so it's gonna be self dot lives left minus equals to 1. We can still do a message. The player was hit by I should probably have access to a user username environment variable. I should use that. Streamer was hit by and that's the chatter name, and then let player has lives left. And so that's going to be self.lives left. Okay, so then we're going to send that to chat. Let's see. Then we set the winning player, so we don't want to do that. Then we just send this to the chat and that's it. So we then go -1. Then over here, we're going to check if self.lives left, if that's now equal to 0, then we want to set our winner. Actually, we don't have to do this. We could do this up here, can't we? So subtract 1, send the message to chat, then also now check if self.lives left is now equal to 0. I can then say self.winning player equals sum. It's the chatter, so I think that's going to be game object dot chatter. I have to create the new one. I don't have access to the chatter, do I? I have to create a new chatter. Chatter new. Name. Okay, so I have the chatter name here. Oh wait, no, the chatter name is the chatter. Okay, never mind. Chatter name. Okay, so that way it wins after I get hit 3 times. Can you make line limit smaller or shrink the VS Code window? The chat is getting in the way of long lines of code. Oh, absolutely yes. You can make this. I have to bring the mouse over to the other screen. Let's do that. I forgot that I accidentally full screened it when I was trying to full screen something else yesterday. Okay, so if I have that, then now I'm gonna die after 3 hits. So let's try it. Now we just need the font bumped up once or twice. Okay, I can do that too. When we get in there. Oh, that's maybe too much. How about that? Once. How's that looking for a font? What? Did you just crash? Why did you minimize? Why did everything minimize? Like my entire every window on my computer minimized at the same time. I have no idea what I did. I must have like clicked a button or something. All right, so let's drop a. If you shake a window, everything minimizes? What? What? That's a strange. That's a strange action. I had no idea. Okay, so if I want to do a Windows logic, shake the windows, it breaks and it shatters. Everything falls down. Okay, that I see that logic now. All right, let's do a sword like 3, and I'll get myself hit. Oh, I got hit all 3 times in 1 frame. I need to give myself some iframes. So if I was to do that, I need a certain number of seconds that I can't be hit again. That's interesting. Iframes. I haven't implemented iframes in a game before. Okay, so that sounds like it's going to be a. Okay, so when we get hit, that's going to be in our physics system. So player physics. Player hit object, so that's our event. So we can have invent is invincible is a boolean. We can track start invincible. So start invincible. I'd say the player has a field for damage cooldown, which, if it's above 0, counts down, and if it's above 0, the player is invincible, and on damage, it gets set to some amount. Oh, you're thinking like a, like I have a health system. Yeah, I probably don't need a Boolean. So you're thinking I need like a health system. Is that right? I'd say the player has a field for the damage cooldown, which if it's above 0, counts down, and if it's above 0, the player is invincible, and on damage, it gets set to some amount. Oh, not just a cooldown. Yeah, okay, so we need, like, do I need a start invincible, which would be like an instant now, and an invincible length? And if the invincible time has passed since the start invincible, then I become vincible. Vincible? Is that a word? Again. Because the physics doesn't care about lives. It doesn't know anything about that. It just knows that when it's hit, actually, this might not be the best place to put this. So it can constantly track and say like, hey, main state, I got hit, I got hit, I got hit. Maybe over here in a main library, I need to track is the player invisible or not? Like, do I care about these hits? When did the last hit happen? So I can track when the last hit. Don't track when it happened. So I can track the lives left. That's overly complicated. Add a damage cooldown like a U16. Okay, so let's do a damage cooldown. We set this to a U16. We're gonna set the default to be what, like 250? 500? Is this is in milliseconds probably? It's like half a second. I'm now available. Then in update, do if damage cooldown is greater than 0, damage cooldown my equals to 1. Oh, okay, I get it. So our damage cooldown. Hold on, let's give ourselves a default here. So const. Like what we want to set that damage cooldown. So maybe this could be like max. Right, iframes is the number of frames that I'm invincible, not like the number of milliseconds or time. It's a number of frames. So I can set, so this is gonna be max iframes. You're going to be U16, and we'll set you to something like, what is, we're doing 60 frames per second. So if I open up a calculator, 60 frames per second, so that's 1 second. If I wanted to do half of, if I want to do 2 seconds, I would do 120. 3 seconds would be 340. And once the player gets damaged, then damage cooldown gets set to, for example, 200 for 200 updates until the player can be damaged again. Right, so we're gonna have to figure out what feels good. So 60 frames per second. Let's try starting it to the equivalent of 60, 120, like 2 seconds. This could probably be in U8 for right now. And we're gonna make U in U8. And the cooldown would start at 0. And I would count up to the max iframes and then reset back to 0 again. Don't count up. Then why would the cooldown start at 0? Because I can't go to negative numbers unless I'd use an I. Cooldown is set to 120 once the player is damaged. Okay. I just was curious when you said cooldown to start at 0. So it starts at... Oh, we start... The initial cooldown here is set to 0, you're saying. And then I set it to be like a clone this, to then go down to 0. Okay, got it. That makes more sense. So here I have lives left, so we're tracking this. Also, when we get hit, we want to set R, so self dot damage cooldown equals max iframes. Clone that. Yeah, the cooldown starts at 0, so the player can be damaged immediately, because why would we want a cooldown once the game starts? I mean, to give me the maximum chance, I'm gonna set the cooldown to billion frames. You can't hit me. No, I'm not gonna do it. Okay, so damage cooldown. I might not need to do that here. Oh no, okay. If I get hit, I set the damage cooldown to max frames clone. Outside of here, at the bottom, I could say, I know I don't need to call clone. It's gonna clone it already on its own. Okay, so if self dot damage cooldown, oh, we also need to handle if it's minus, if it's greater than that. So if the damage cooldown, so we set it to this. We have to check it here first. If self dot damage cooldown is greater than 0, or rather, if it's equal to 0, then we can go ahead and subtract a life. Whoa, don't do that. We can set our new damage cooldown, so reset it. We can send our message. We can send that message to chat. And if we've got no lives left, which should only happen in this case because, okay. So then we set their maxed cooldown. There we go. And at the end here, if self that damage cooldown is greater than 0, self dot damage cooldown minus equals to 1. Maybe add some effects to show that the cooldown is active. Maybe a flashing effect like many games do. Yeah, that could be cool. Or like the ghost effect where I give myself a little bit of opacity. Because I've also seen that in some games. But let's actually check to see if this works first. I don't think I want to do a flashing effect because that might just... It's gonna be really hard to like make it look right on stream. But okay, let's get myself hit. Okay, I got hit. One life left, one more, and then I die. Okay, perfect. That worked really well. Okay, so then if I want to show myself being hit, we have that damage cooldown. It's the sprite, I believe, that we're drawing out. So like the player sprite is drawing. We want to set the opacity. Can I do that here? Oh, I'm gonna have to set the color. Okay, so I know this will set it for everything, but let's try color new. Import you. Okay, so then for you color, I want I can't remember if it's white that I want or black. And then my opacity. So let's set this to like 0.5. So halfway opaque. Halfway opaque? Halfway alpha. Everything should be just dimmed down. But the color should be fine, right? Yeah, okay, I think that did it. Everything is sort of dimmed, but the color is still the same. So what, sorry about that. I quit right away because I'm not playing the game for real right now. If I want to take in like a color override, no. It could be like a some color that I throw in here. Oh, the opacity. So if I want like if I have the opacity and I set this to be a sum, no, an option of a U8, then the first thing I can do here is that opacity equals opacity dot unwrap I don't really get the difference between unwrap or default. That feels like it's the same. So if I don't pass anything in, if you're a none, then you get 1.0. Otherwise, you get whatever I pass in. So then I can do, you all be 1.0, 1.0, and then in here, we'll do the opacity. So then in sprites, that's the draw system for game object. You're now yelling at us saying, hey, you need to pass in something like none. You got to use opacity divided by 256 or just take a float. Oh, wait, you're right. This is an F32. Oops. Well, fix that. I was thinking like just super small number, but okay, so I have sprites here working. We have the game mode draw system. We're passing in none, so everything should be full size. Let's see. There's no other errors in here. Timer draw system doesn't even have a sprite. That doesn't care. The mod is fine. Right? How are you? Oh, you're gonna need to. We're gonna need to take in something like draw from this. It's like our game object draw system is called by library, I think. Our main library in draw, we loop through all the game objects and then we draw them. So we're gonna have to pass in what their damage level is. Not damage level. This cooldown. Essentially, that could be a Boolean, right? The graphics, so the draw system can be in charge of like what that means, like what the value is. So in our game object draw system, we can say iframe opacity is an F32. And we're going to set that to be 0.5. And so here under draw, we're going to, okay, so for draw, we have to update our mod here first. This is going to be our is damaged, like using iframes. Iframes active. And you're a Boolean, which means you need to be updated. And I'm not doing anything with you. But with you, we need to extract you out. So we already have if let, so let's do let opacity equals if iframes so if iframes is true, then we want this to be a sum self dot iframe opacity. Otherwise, nope, no semicolon. Otherwise, I want a none. And then instead of this opacity none, we're gonna pass in opacity. Okay. In game object itself, we need to now pass in the true or false. Are we damaged in some way? Which means we need to take in here in draw. We have the context. We is damaged. In iframes. Iframes, Boolean, and we'll just pass that on through. Function takes two objects, so in interface, we want to draw context. So none of these, like these are all false. Like there's never iframes for interface game objects. For, where are we now? We're in the main library. We might. It's really if it's just the player, right? That's the only thing we care about. Let's see. So we need to check to see if the type of the player, the type of the game object is a player, and we're in opacity. That's really what it is. Okay, so in draw, we need game object. What do we have in here? We have like a physics system. We don't have a type. We might need to implement a type. So if I do some, oh, probably not like type like that. But if I do something like my type, and I make this essentially game object type. Here, we'll just, yeah, my type is a game object type. And that will be like maybe an enum somewhere. So you can hold in game object. Hold on, stop. Go away. Then when we create this, we also create like what is my type, which is a game object type, and store that away. And because I can make it public, I can now check to see if it's the right type. So if let my type, okay, so let's create that type. So we need game object type. Where's my game? There it is. So pub enum okay, so what we have here, we have two different types, right? We have like an object that's dropped down on me. So is this like a weapon or, well, okay, we have a player. That's an easy one. And then we have, it's like a flame thing that drops down and a sword that drops down and maybe like something else. I was thinking maybe a snake. What would I categorize those under? Like weapons, items, like a dropper, a drop? No, it can't be drop. That's something that's implemented. That's like a stream item. Enemy. Yeah, well, let's do enemy now until that doesn't make sense. So if I have an enemy and game object type is a player, so then in here, import, let's go to the library, let's use it. So now that will be available to me here. What? You can't find it under super? It's right here. There you go. So that's happy. This doesn't care about it, it just stores it. Inside of the main library here. Oh, when we create, okay, so now we have to fix, every time that we have a new game object, we have to fix this. So down here, it's going to be the game object type. You are the flame instruction, so your type is going to be an enemy. A sword, so your type is an enemy. You're a timer block. Oh, so a timer block. You are... So we have enemy, we also have interface. And that means, actually, a couple of you up here are actually interface stuff. So flame instruction, your interface. Sword instruction, interface. Timer block, interface. Player, you're a player. Then down here, okay, so based upon the command, flame, game object type, you're an enemy. And you're an enemy. You just found out the VS Code has an autosave function you wish you had known earlier. I used to use an autosave function a lot, and I had set up where like every time that I lost focus of the window, it would save. But then I started doing a lot of like test-driven development where the test would run as soon as I save. And that became really annoying because I was like moving back and forth to like documentation and looking at other stuff, and I didn't want it to run those tests. So I ended up turning it off eventually. So now I'm used to not having it. But I do like my wife, who's a software developer, she has autosave for like every character, so it's just constantly saving. So she's never in a non-save state. Stacking Redeemed ask a technical question. If I return a standard error trait like impl-dyn standard error, why do I need to wrap that in a box when dynamic traits are known at compile time? It's a good question. Can you do the return? Yeah, so you're returning like impl-dyn. Oh, I want to say like Museum had mentioned there's another way to do dyn that's not just a box, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I think now why you need to do that is dynamic traits. Well, dynamic traits are they really known at compile time? It's going to be known at runtime, right? Is this a compiler problem because they should be known at compile time? I feel like, so I don't know the answer to that question. According to the box, they're compile time check. Oh, according to the book, they're compile time check. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know then. That seems interesting. I'm sure that there is an answer that makes sense once we hear it. But I don't know that. Let me Rust has no runtime checks as far as you can tell. It does have some runtime checks, but only if we like use code that requires it. Let me open up my Trello, and for exploration learning, I'm gonna add in, let's see what this, returning dyn, I guess, impl dyn standard error without boxing it up. Find out why that doesn't work. Okay, so I'm adding that into my learning exploration. So we'll eventually look into that, and sort of like try to figure out what's going on. I should create a inbox so I can order them properly. But okay, so yeah, I'll get back to that someday. I'll definitely look into that. Until then, I don't know why. It's unfortunate that I can't answer that right now. I'm sorry. All right. All right, what were we doing? We were adding all these in here. So then now in game object draw context, we've given our types. So for this, if our type is the player, so if let game object type player equals game object dot my type, which means we're gonna have to implement partial equal for this. Let's derive. Oh, I don't have derive anymore. Partial equal. Back to you. Okay, so if that is the case, you seem very upset. Expected one of, wait, can I just do if? Okay, yeah, I can. So if the player is my type, and self dot damage cooldown is greater than 0, okay, so I want to do let on, let's see, iframes active equals just straight up into there, and I can skip the if. We're just gonna do that. So it gives us a boolean here, and then under draw I need just a boolean. So iframes active. You know what is this? A lifetime issue? Instead of dealing with lifetimes, it's easier to just shove it into a box. Yeah, like that I do feel sometimes shoving it into a box does help with the lifetimes, and it's so much easier because boxes automatically unwrap. So it's almost as if you're not using it. It's just the complication is when you're creating it or like setting the types. Okay, so with that, let's fix all these errors now. Derive debug. We have to derive debug for U2. My type for clone for this. That should be pretty cheap for cloning this. So let's go ahead and give it my type. No method, name clone. Clone. All right, no errors. Let's go ahead and run it. See what we got. So now when I'm at full opacity, when I get hit, I should, for 2 seconds, turn, like, turn halfway, like fade halfway out. Sword, let's do 1. Yeah, it worked. We can see. So is that visible to you? Should I make myself more opaque, as it were? I don't know what, less visible? I mean, I can clearly see it, but I don't know if that translates over into stream very well. I could do something like 0.1. Okay, that fades me out a lot more. I can still see it, but I think that's going to be like extremely visible on stream. And now I die when I hit. Oh, it faded out. Let's do fire 4, and then I die. Okay, perfect. I like that a lot more. Okay, so that makes it feel a lot better. Let's go back into our README. And now we have a life system, so we can be hit n times over, except now that I can be hit n times, well, no, I give credit in chat. So I think that's good for right now. Let's go ahead and fix some of these errors, or sorry, warnings. Not using draw mode, not using a rectangle, or any of this. Not using a vector 2 or rand anymore. Let's see. We're not using the context in Sword Physics update. Okay, so that means I just don't need this. Does timer physics need it? No. Sword physics, player physics. You need it. Okay, so just here, we'll underscore you then. Collidable game objects, you don't need these either. And that's it, no more warnings. Okay, so save. Let's go ahead and send these all to Git. Okay, so player has 3 lives now. And we'll push that on up. I have access to all this code at Bang repo. And it's the first link, get the streamer game. Okay, so now that we have that, let's close all these windows and head back to the README. Okay, refactoring time. So, want to do a little bit of refactoring before we get on to something else. Have isAlive be unique per type of game object. Right, I need to do that in order to be able to have the swords disappear after 7 bounces. Because right now, isAlive, where is that? We go to Is alive is off of the game object. But if we look at this, is alive. Okay, so if the duration is set, we need to know this. We basically need to have multiple different trackers for this. I don't know if I want to like set like a live system that's going to be similar to like the traits, where I then have to box up like, you know, a player, a live system. We could basically, if you have a duration, and that's elapsed, then we have to return, okay, we're returning true or false based upon if that's elapsed. However, if we don't have a duration, we might want to check to see how many times we've bounced. So what was my idea with this? Have isLive be unique per type of game object. Okay, so I was thinking of actually having game objects like fire game object, sword game object, timer game object, because then I could track bounces in them. That feels sad, but at the same time, I'm not sure exactly how I would like not do that. We could do the isAlive method. So if we look at our game object, we're storing live for and birth time. If I have like a life system and I store that in here, sort of like how we have draw system, we have a life system. It would essentially be none for the interface objects. They never die. They're always alive. Well, it would just return true always, right? But then it would be like this duration system would be in case for like the fire. And then everything else is stored inside of here. That being said, how would I handle the bounces? When I run update, I need it to mark that I've bounced now. I could have it send a message, and that would decouple it. I could have it return true or false if it bounced. If I have it return true or false, I can just like grab out of here. Okay, did you bounce? Did you like lose a life? Maybe I can do that without this. If I have physics system update, so in physics system, if I have this trait, Now it returns a result of nothing. If I have it return a result of bool, did it lose a life or not, essentially? Okay, so fire physics. You would be a bool there. And you return false. Player physics. You return false. You return a bool. You return false down here. It might be better to return an enum so I can give it some kind of meaning for this, because this feels like it's going to be very easy for me to like forget what this means. Like, what does the false mean for this? Sword physics, you're going to return a boolean. But in here, we're going to get that bounced. Equals false. So we set that to be false. If we bounced off of the Y here, then we say bounced equals true. And then we return bounced. And timer at physics, you're a bool, you become false. Then in game object, when I run the update, so I want to do let so like lost life. If we lost life, so then we're going to have a life count here. It's like life left. This can be a 8. Let's just say we set you to be life left. Let's just say we set you to be 3. If we lost a life, then self dot life left minus equals to 1. In is alive, we first check if self dot life left, if that's equal to 0, then return false. Otherwise, go through and check our duration. Seems like overcomplicated. Seems like I'm just sort of like duct taping this in, as opposed to doing something like appropriate, which would be extracting this out. So that way we could do this one or this one in its own code base. But let's see if this ends up working. So we have some problems here. Okay, so when we clone this, life left, self dot life left, they'll auto clone, let lost life. Oh. Yeah, I can't just always lose a life. If lost life is true, then self dot life left minus equals to 1. All right. So if I do that, then I think the sword bouncing, the fire will be exactly the same. So fire like 9 should still last for like 5 seconds and then disappear. And then the sword, if I do 1, 2, 3, and then it disappears. Okay, so that works. It's a little bit kludgy, but it works. So if I set the sword, we could do bounces, but I like the lost life of this. But I probably want to like pass this in here. So like lives, this will be a U8. Life left will be lives. Oh, and that's a problem altogether on its own, because if I have, I guess here, like even though it's an interface, well, it's never gonna check its lives left, but like I have to now give it something like 1, like it has a live, which doesn't make too much sense. Like you're a sword instruction. You shouldn't need to know that you have 1 life left. Timer block, that shouldn't need a life. A player, however, we are tracking the lives elsewhere, but maybe we shouldn't. We should say that you have 3 lives. That being said, like the entire like life system that we have with like bouncing doesn't make any sense now. So I don't think this is a good idea. I think I need to have live for, essentially we need to extract this out, not be a live for, but like be a life system. And then we extract out the lives, like damage cooldown, lives left, that could be inside of the player, inside the game object. And that, I think that makes a lot more sense to put into there. If I were to do that, and damage cooldown and lives left would have to be stored. Okay, so we need a life system. That's what we need. We need a life system. So that's gonna be a new, call this life system. We're gonna have a mod in here. So hub trait life system. I don't know what we're going to put inside of it right now, but I'll just make this public, and then in our main library we'll pull this out. Okay, so that gives us our life system. We can, I mean, it might end up just being a marker trait, which could be fine. We'll sort of see what we need from it. In game object, this entire live for, birth time, lives left, this all needs to go away essentially and get replaced by a life system. Hold on. Okay, live for, birth time, lives left, like that. Then we're gonna have a life system. It's gonna be an option, box, dine, life system, that. I don't want to like use create like that. I want you to figure out to bring it in from super. Oh, so life system now, we need you to be debuggable. So where self standard format debug. Okay, so then that stores our life system away. When we create a new one, instead of lives, instead of live for, till you could, oh, this thing? Oh man, this is really cool. Yeah, so I'm basically saying that the trait live system has to also implement debug. So whatever I put that on has to implement debug. It's really cool, which allows me to, in game object, implement debug, but still like get my dynamic traits and all that stuff. So our draw system, live for, so you go away, collidable, chatter, my type. Okay, so then we're gonna have a life system, which is a option box dine life system. Then this entire thing we don't need anymore because we're gonna pass in a life system that has all of this stuff in it. Then we're gonna have life system just in here, put in the comma. Okay, so then we have you, you're happy. We don't need you. Down here, we're gonna have the life system. So when we clone this, which I think is for update only, I don't really care about the life system. So the life system is gonna be just a none. So shallow clone. But that also means we don't have a birth time, we don't have a live for anymore. And we don't have a life left. So then this is where we need to like determine, did, are we getting hit or not? It's like lost life equals this. We kind of want to set our physics system updates. I wonder if I want to set like to pass in a mutable a mutable reference to the life system, and then it can run a function on it to reduce its life. That kind of makes sense. There's a way to do that. If I pass in a mutable reference to self.life system, is it like as a ref? As ref? I don't remember. And then is alive here is gonna go away. So then physics update is yelling at us. Our life system, so that's gonna be the one thing. We're gonna have function is alive. And that's gonna return a Boolean. And so that if there's no life system, it's just always alive. However, if there is a life system, it has to return a Boolean. Okay. Then in our physics system, we're passing in our life system here. So that of course means we need to go and fix all of that, change everything. It's after 8:15, so I want to start winding this down. And what that really means to me is coming to our README, not playgrounds. Okay, so have is alive be unique per type of game object. So is alive per. So what are we really doing here? We're changing, so we're creating trait, not trait, the life system for game objects. So creating life system for game objects, and then we also want to create which game objects need a life system. We know that we have our types, right? So we have a player needs its own life system, an enemy needs its life system, and interface does not. So we need create a player life system, create, and then it's probably not just enemy life system. We're gonna have a flame, like a fire life system, and create a sword life system. And then once I do that, then I can plug them in there and use them, and everything should be fine. Then I can have the swords disappear after 7 bounces, because that will be as part of this life system. All right. I'm happy with that. I think that's going to be really good. So I'm going to close all of these windows up. And let's go take a look at this. This is going to be a work in progress. Like refactoring to use to have a life system. For game objects. And send that all up. As I mentioned before, if you need to see, if you want to see the code, that's under Bang repo, and it's the first link in there. Or if you're watching a VOD, I'll have a link to this in the description to the video. And so with that, that's good. I can close you. I can close you. And I think we're good to go. Is there anybody? Nobody on the Rustations team is streaming right now. So I think I'll just go ahead and end the stream. I'll switch over to ending. Thank you everybody for stopping by and watching. I think we made some good progress today, and I'm really happy with, even though it's a lot of refactoring work, it's gonna end up making everything in a much better state, and I'll be able to take all these lessons in next time. So with that, I am doing these streams every single weekday morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. Tomorrow's gonna be continuing on this refactoring with this Get the Streamer game. And then Fridays we're doing code exploration. We're exploring creating, working with WebAssembly. Anyways, I will see you all tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day, and yeah, that's it.